Hello, everybody. Welcome to the NFTmeta.com podcast. I'm Alan T. Chang, co-founder of NFTmeta.com, and this is a new series of podcasts for us, and we're very new at this, so please forgive us if we make any big mistakes, but nevertheless, it's exciting, and we look forward to having many, many guests in the coming weeks and months and years. And with us is Joe Pan, is the executive director of Hong Kong-based Impact NFT Alliance. And he's going to be talking a little bit about himself and how he became the executive director of this very exciting alliance, which has ambitions to grow a great industry globally of doing charitable causes through impact NFTs. So, Joe, tell us a little bit about yourself, how your career experience, and how you came to be the executive director.
So, thank you for asking that question. It's quite an interesting roundabout way, but in short, I would say I'm returning to my first love. I actually did my fellowships in Washington, D.C. with a environmental leadership program that's supposed to be minting, no pun intended, but minting environmental entrepreneurs. So with that class of the cohorts was all the back in even the late 90s and early 2000s, those are the front runners and pioneers in the environmental entrepreneurships. And we were all looking at how we can start our own different business or initiative to find ways to transform or change or protect the environments. I still remember one cohort members I have, also named Joe. And back in the early 2000s, he was pitching the idea of green burial. And that imagine in 2000, he was talking about the whole funeral industry need to be transformed because it's not environmentally friendly. So fast forward almost 20 years later, so I was a journalist and working with a crypto media and covering various and looking at what are the trends and latest technology in the crypto media. But one business that caught my eyes was really on how to use this NFT to help and transform people's behavior and actually motivate, incentivize people to change the behavior so for the better of our environments and saving the earth. So I watch it on the sideline. And at some point I say, you know what, I want to join a mission-driven organizations. And so long story short, I end up joining it and volunteer for a number of months and look at what I can do to help. And lo and behold, we actually found the funding, some of the initial investors and could put together, and there's some founding organizations actually willing to say, look, we want someone to dedicate their time, full time on this. And that's how I came on board.
Fantastic. Now, the Alliance is just about a year old, probably under a year, and you're the founding executive director. What is your goal and mission in the next, say, 2 years or so, 2 or 3 years? Yes.
So that's somewhat loaded questions. In the crypto world, crypto age is like a year is 7 year, doggy years. So we are into first year, but even though in the normal time it's still a very young organization, but it's already gone through some 7 of doggy years and trial and errors. We have learned quite a bit. But the most important thing is we look at who are our memberships and who are the people we want to get them into the alliance. And that goes back to the founding organizations and the founders look at, they are trying to change the world, save the world with various angles using technology. And slowly they realize they cannot be the only one doing it. The more, the better. There's no competition. There's only competition with all the degradations and trying to reverse those human behavior. That's all the consumerism, so over consumerism. So it's really about building an alliance was found to actually get more people who would share the mission and believe in the cause and actually willing to contribute to time or money to do this. And this is the founding thesis of the alliance. We should not be the only one doing it, and the more the better. And so who are the people we try to recruit and ask them to join us? They are the Web3 company. They are the one who building the infrastructure like the protocol of the world. They are the different types of the new blockchain like the CeLO and like the Clayton's, and various blockchains sometimes you never even heard of. But they're the one share the missions. They want to be carbon neutral. They want, or at least they want to find ways to bring the blockchain to be more energy efficient. And so the protocols. The next is the NFT issuers. They're the one creating NFT, and there is a special group of us who are creating NFT because they want to use a specific digital asset to link to the behavior to either incentivize the sustainability development goals and then the development of it, or they want to disincentivize the wasteful behavior and finding ways to do it. And so there's a small group of us who are passionate about this, and we want to actually kind of prophesize and in a way to evangelize also other people to come join us. So this is the NFT. And then the third part are all the organization around it. It could be the media, it could be the service provider, and most important of the investors. We want the investor to join us and just like ESG and green bonds and all the people who invest on those, they invest because they want to make a change, and they invest because they believe there is also a return for this. So these are the people, and this is the main composition of our memberships. We're growing by leap and bound. We're getting inbound calls, and we're onboarding new members, 3 or 4 of them a week. Right now, we're at about between 55 to 60 members, and we believe within a few more months, I think we can double our membership to about 100. And all the members you mentioned are Hong Kong based. Yes, I'm physically based in Hong Kong as I travel around the world as well. But our members mostly actually all international. I would like to point out that with events, the largest Autoverse or Metaverse NFT event going on in Hong Kong right now, we're featuring a big range of our memberships work on NFT, the Impact NFT specifically, of which we only have about 3 to 4 members who are Hong Kong based. The rest of them are actually quite international.
That's very exciting. Very short time, you exploded onto the scene and you built this very interesting alliance that has great future. So that's just a little bit under 1 year old. So how about the next beyond 3 years, 5 years? Do you imagine having thousands of members?
So we definitely are looking at, so when a membership, so in the traditional world, when we talk about membership, it could be the Chamber of Commerce Association, it could be a trade organization, or it could be a lobbying organizations for industry. But we're looking at the new model called DAO. So we hope to turn this into a DAO within the next probably a few months. And we already announced our ambition. And we hope to actually turn that into a DAO structure within the next 3 to 4 months window. And when it's the DAO, everything will be quite different from the traditional world of an association or alliance. It will be a member base. At the same time, it will be ownership. The members will have ownership of the alliance, and they would have voting rights, and there will be a token that comes with it. So all these are in the works right now. It's too early to say the detail, but this is the direction we're going. Because when you have a huge organization, normally in the traditional world, it's quite centralized, and that's where you have the executive directors, you have a committee, and making all servicing the members in various ways, but it's quite centralized. But right now, we are kind of in between transitioning into a DAO and where we would have a Discord. We already launched our Discord, and we hope to get everyone on board into the Discord. And it's also quite interesting and challenging for us as we see the ESG world. We're sitting right in the intersection of the Web3 technology, especially crypto and NFT. On the other side is the traditional ESG and brands that they know they want to do the ESG. They're passionate about it, but then they are not quite into and onboarded into the crypto world yet. So there will be a time that we would have to get them to meet in between. And that's where we deliver most of our values and helping both sides of the members to learn and integrate into each other's world.
Yeah, please remind me, DAO stands for Decentralized
Anonymous Organization.
Exactly. And this is an organization that is very different than a normal organization where you have a hierarchy of people. A DAO is self-runs without, correct?
That's correct. In a way, yes, but it does have, so it may be a worth to spend another episode on this, but the DAO is quite different, is quite interesting, and is also controversial in some ways. And some of the famous DAO that people probably, listener of this podcast may have heard of, for example, the Constitution DAO that raised $60 million within 6 years. And they were trying to purchase the actual copy of the Constitution, of course, that which was not for sale. But the thesis was quite interesting. There was Pizza DAO that started by some guys in the garage and just with the ambition of everyone should be having pizza around the world at the same time. And they found a Pizza DAO that grew actually at one point about $100 million capital. Of course, this is crypto capital and listed in the coin capital and that type of different listing, but it's still significant, 100 mil, just a DAO. So a DAO is really about, it found its way back in even before, probably in the Roman time, that a DAO is just like a club. You and I belong to certain clubs and people have the voting power. But the difference in the new ways is the DAO is not only is anonymous, but at the same time, people have stakes and ownership of it. And there are some clubs right now owned by members, and everyone has the voting rights. So it's not that different from the physical world, even though it lives on the metaverse or the virtual or digital world.
That sounds very exciting, Joe. Now, your background is in mass media, and tell us how your background and experience will benefit you in your current position.
Sure. So I cut my teeth in the traditional media business where I actually wrote a weekly column for newspaper. And when my last job was major media job was with LA Times. And then I actually had radio and broadcast experience. Of course, all this served as a foundation of the job that I have done. Following that was I ran a political consulting firm and a communication firm that had the offices span across the world, including Asia, in Beijing and Shanghai and in Los Angeles and New York, and at one point in Taiwan as well. So all those are really, really good foundations. And I see a lot of transferable skills for journalists or journalism adjacent to see how they can apply for the skill. I always say journalists are very good with deadlines and then multitasking. And so that is very transferable to many industries. And I see all the knowledge and various industry you observe actually give you a general knowledge. Sometimes a lot of journalists or ex-journalists would say that their knowledge of various industry is a mile wide and an inch deep. And there are some really financial journalists like your backgrounds and people who are really deep into a vertical of financial journalism. And they can also combine both and to give them a launch pad to go on other industry. And I see myself as a journalist in many ways, but when you spend enough time in one particular vertical, you also develop the expertise. And I think the journalism background really prepared me for the role I'm doing today. And it's also in many ways I'm connected to the journalism world. And I have always stayed adjacent to journalism and media. And from media management to investor relations, where we cross path many times before, that's also very important that you know the financial numbers. And in a way, I ran my own agency before that prepared me for the P&L responsibility. So there are a number of things that I see as I progress in my career and even change in my career and directions. But everything add on top of it is like a building block, one to the other. Is just strengthens your foundations and add on the building block where you can move higher.
That's very, very exciting, Joe. Now, of course, in your current role, you're also building up you're kind of like an advocate, a chief advocate for the Alliance in terms of advocating the growth of the global markets of impact NFTs as an asset class. Do you see this as a growing asset class that will grow bigger and bigger in the years ahead?
So definitely. So digital asset is the overall term for it. So the digital assets, there are digital assets that are pure digital, and there are assets that are backed by asset-backed. So in the financial world, we all familiar with the asset-backed security, ABS. And so traded digital asset is one that's pure digital and has its own value because of the cryptocurrency types or because of the arts, the digital art they have. But there are different class that has the digital asset or backed by real world assets. So we have seen a lot of tokenizations of actual real estate. And there is also pure metaverse land that is pure digital asset that's not linked to the physical world. So there are many, many tangents and going on right now. And I think the mass adoptions of crypto and the blockchain was being blockchain based. And I think there's so much application have yet to be realized, and they're coming. And I think as the mass adoption goes, just like the Web 1.0, the Web 2.0, I think Web 3.0, we're just at the crest and on the verge of a major wave of adoption. So I think the opportunity is boundless.
Well, that sounds very exciting, Joe. Thank you so much for joining us today. And ladies and gentlemen, please continue to support NFTmeta.com by clicking on our website, NFTmetta.com. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.